All right, let's jump right into something pretty wild. What if I told you there's a text out there from a Cambodian source that predicts Thailand is on track to become the next North Korea, while Cambodia is set to become the next South Korea? I mean, wow, that is a seriously provocative claim. So today, we're going to unpack this whole argument and see exactly how the author tries to make their case.
So, right from the get-go, this is the central idea. The source literally draws a line in the sand. On one side, you have Thailand, supposedly heading down the path of North Korea, and on the other, Cambodia, aiming for the prosperity and success of South Korea. It's a huge comparison to make, right? So you have to ask, what's the logic here? How do they even begin to build that argument?
Well, the whole thing is built on three main pillars. The author breaks down their case by looking at what's happening in the military, the economy, and of course, politics. To really get this tale of two futures, we've got to dig into each one of these claims. So let's kick things off with the first area.
Okay, first up is military alliances. According to this text, the whole power dynamic in the region is getting a major shakeup, and it's supposedly pulling Thailand and Cambodia in totally opposite directions. So, here's the alleged split. The source claims that the U.S. has cut off key arms sales to Thailand, which is basically forcing them to turn to China. And the author doesn't just see this as a simple pivot, they frame it as Thailand openly defying the West. Meanwhile, the text paints a totally different picture for Cambodia, saying they're beefing up their military by getting closer with the U.S. and its allies.
And check out this quote from the source. It really shows you how critical the author thinks this U.S. partnership is. It's not just about getting some new gear, it's a total game changer. The idea is that with America's help, the Cambodian military would become so powerful that, and I quote, no country would dare to mess with the Khmers. So for this author, it's pretty clear. It all boils down to picking the right team.
All right, that brings us to the second piece of the puzzle, the economy. And according to the source, these military decisions have huge, direct consequences for each country's economic future. They're not separate issues, they're completely linked.
From this viewpoint, Thailand's move towards China is a huge economic gamble. It puts them at risk of being cut off by the West, which the author thinks could even lead to conflict inside the country as their economy starts to slide. But Cambodia? The text claims it's the total opposite story. They're set up for explosive growth, getting plugged into the global economy and heading straight for that high-income status. Just like South Korea did.
So, the big question is, how exactly is Cambodia supposed to pull this off? Well, the author points to 5 specific things, 5 pillars that they claim are driving this South Korean style of transformation. Let's take a look at what they are.
Okay, so here are the 5 key areas, according to the text. First, they're modernizing agriculture and industry, apparently with help from countries like Japan and South Korea. Second is a huge infrastructure push to boost international commerce. We're talking new ports, airports, and that really ambitious Funan-Chechu Canal project. Third, they're going all in on attracting foreign trade and investment. And then you've got the last 2, which are all about smart diplomacy. 1, playing it cool and balancing relationships with both the US and China. And 2, wrapping all of this in a policy of neutrality, which the author says harks back to a golden age for Cambodia.
And all of this leads us right to the third and final part of this argument, the political destinies of these two nations. The source argues that all these military and economic moves are shaping 2 completely different political futures.
So the picture painted here is pretty stark. On one hand, you've got Thailand, which the text says is becoming isolated, pushing away its old allies, and even getting a bad rap as a potential hub for online crime. But Cambodia, in this version of the story, is playing a much smarter game. They're seen as the savvy diplomat, this lucky nation that's balancing the big powers, locking in good deals, and using that neutrality policy to its advantage so it can work with pretty much everyone. But here's where it gets really interesting. The author doesn't just stop with all this analysis. To really drive the point home, they reach for something much older, much more powerful. They bring in an ancient prophecy to cap off the whole argument.
And this is it, the final word. A prophecy of a great reversal of fortunes. It predicts that Bangkok will fall while Phnom Penh thrives, leading to a new golden age for the Khmer people, one that rivals the incredible glory of the Angkorian era. I mean, you can't get much more dramatic or powerful than that as a conclusion, can you?
So, after all that, what are we left with? We've just walked through a really stark, really compelling, and let's be honest, a very one-sided vision for the future. It's a story of a declining Thailand versus a rising Cambodia. And I guess the big question it leaves us with is this: where do you draw the line between a cold, hard geopolitical prediction and a powerful expression of national hope? Is this what the author truly believes will happen, or is it what they want to happen? It's definitely something to chew on. Thanks for diving in with me on this one.